Hey, hi all. Welcome back to BRL Knowledge Center. In this session, we'll see how to create a scenario-based without testing and run through a K6 Grafana open source testing tool. So far we have seen different kind of testings, simple running with sample URLs, and then we put some stress load and spike and load test on the test scripts, and then run through a K6 Grafana open source tool. And we've seen metrics and the config and the console dashboard. Now, how to create a scenario-based load test scripts with a simple JavaScript. That is what the no a input it is expecting for a K6 load testing tool. Then how to run through a K6 Grafana open source tool. Okay, so let me quickly get into this and then start writing of script so that you will be understanding how I'm going to write a script. Now opening my IDE is a Studio Coder here. So I think earlier we have done a couple of examples with some of the stress load and then demo and A/B test and the other stuff. We've seen that. Now what we'll do is we will do a scenario-based load testing. I'm going to create scenario-based folder here, and under that I'm going to create scenario-based load test script. Okay. So as usual, so even for this scenario-based load test also, so one thing is we have to import the HTTP, object from K6 HTTP package, right? So I'll just do that. Import HTTP from K6 HTTP, right? And again I'll import sleep as usual to put no think time. So from K6, these two are enough for me. And then the default, kind of declarations what we usually declare for this is options. And second thing is export, default. So these are the syntax and the template for K6 load test scripting, right? So in this options, we're going to define our scenarios, right? So to do that, I'm just writing something like, scenarios, right? I'm just writing it kind of array here, right? First scenario I'm going to define it here is so I have an API where it is having different kind of endpoints like getting of all locations, getting of given location and save location and update location, delete location, etc., etc. So I wanted to build each and every action as a scenario here and put some button on that and relevant endpoint and see like how it is performing. So first I'll do that get locations. Okay, this is my first scenario, right? I'm just defining it here in the scenarios get locations. So for this, what I'm doing is I'm going to specify the executable, kind of name, that is a definition, that is a procedure you are going to write. So get locations. This is my procedure I'm going to write. And also, second thing is executor, right? This is nothing but you wanted to put constant load virtual user count or per virtual per request virtual user count, something like that, right? Or per virtual user iterations, right? So for now I think I'll keep only constant virtual users, right? So and after that I'm going to specify virtual users. So for this I'll specify 5 users, and then duration, so I'll specify it as 5 seconds. That's it. This is one scenario. And another scenario I'm going to define it is, you know, uh, like get location, only one location, how I'm going to get it. So for this, I'm writing a function called get location. Even for this, also same thing I'm going to give it. And also another scenario. So another scenario was just saving a location. So save location. So I'm going to write a function for this is save location, right? So for this, I'm going to give constant user load, or as I mentioned, if you wanted to change per virtual user iteration, right? You can change your executor pattern here. So that based on iteration, it is going to assign your user count. Okay. So, but for this, you need to mention iterations instead of duration. Got it? So I'm going to mention iterations here. Number of iterations I'm going to configure instead of putting the time here again 5. And similarly, I'm going to define another scenario here is delete location, right? So I'm going to delete a location. So with that, I wanted to check how my API is performing. Even for this also, I'm putting 5 users and duration is 5 seconds. Okay. And after that, last one is update location, right? So for this update location, I'm going to write update, location, right? So same configuration I'm putting it in for this also. These are my scenarios. I'm basically defining in my options, right? This is what first and foremost thing I'm going to define it here, right? Once I define my this thing stuff, right? Next thing is I'm going to define individual functions here, right? So let me start defining functions instead of you know export default. Now in this case, as it is a scenario based, it will not be a default here. So it will be kind of function now. So export function get locations, right? In this case, this is how I'm going to define it. Now here I'm going to define my get locations. So to get my locations, http dot get. So as I already demonstrate you, let me come to here. Then this is my API where I have locations and other endpoints. So by default, I have 3 locations. So I'm going to use this API, right? So let me configure that. This is my API, right? So and this API, I'm going to specify that. So how it is going to work out. So here, basically, uh, okay, all that, okay, yeah, okay. Let me come to the point here. What I'm trying to define here is get locations, and this is URL, and that's it. If you want, you can keep that response into some variable if you want it, and then so you just put some sleep, that is for sleep time, and close this. This is for get locations. And similarly, you define another kind of scenario was get location. So for this, if I say hyphen and 3387, and let me see how it is working outside of this script, and you can understand. If you look at here, it is not coming. 3387. Okay, I think it is wrong in that. API locations and supported versioning. Okay, let me do this. Okay, API location. No. Okay, let me try this. Where is my location? API location. I'm trying out and version and executing and supported protocol. 387 execute. Okay, so I think I must get the get locations. Okay, API locations. Okay, and then there is something that showcase. Okay, locations. Let me go back to my API and see that how it is portrayed there. It is my location controller. This is get location, right? So controller and ID, and then it has to come here, right? And wrong in that. Okay, for this was it is required in this case, and this. So I will see that how it is running now, so that we can use that as part of our demo. So now go and check that API how it is running. Okay, API locations 7. Here it is, right? So this is something locations, right? So the endpoint is somewhat different, right? These are the locations, and this is the location. So location API was this thing. So you need to put that here. Get locations API, right? 3387, right? And again, I'm going to define another thing is save location. So save location. For the save location, it generally post request. So for this, we have to define the input values because I need to pass that JSON to my post request. So I'm going to define payload, right? Payload equal to let me do that. So here, what I'm doing is I'm doing location ID equal to right 111 JSON, right? Good. And then location name, right? Equal to hospital true one. So like that, I think all the fields you need to find it. Otherwise, you can copy somewhere. This might be, yeah. I think this thing you can copy it here. That way it is very easy for you. Paste this, right? So see that this is my payload, like location ID and the so location name I'm having it. This is something number address one address two Indian city one, right? So after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to define another variable called params for specifying the kind of input you are providing for your API endpoint. That means kind of input means whether it is content type, having HTML or XML or it is JSON, right? So in my case, it is purely an JSON. So I need to specify content type, right? Is application slash JSON, right? So that's all. That's it. So if I define two variables, then fine. Now I just wanted to save this location, right? So I'm just putting all these things, remove locations, right? And for this, I'm specifying payload and params, right? So it is going to hit my API server with the post request and get carry these params and the payload, right? And coming to the next function is delete, right? I'll put this as delete, right? So I think delete is simple, like no locations of 3387, right? And coming to the next scenario was update, right? What I need to do is update, right? And you need to do a same concept here, whatever concept you're doing it for save. But thing is, you have to update this location, right? So I think you need to pass a location ID, then updated values. These are the updated values. I'm going to specify it for cross-checking. So now here, instead of post, right, you have to go patch. Got it. So far it is done. Where is the delete? This must be a del, not a delete. So K6 is having a DL del for the delete HTTP flag. So update, delete, and save, and specific location, and multiple locations, right? Now what we need to do is we try to spin this and see like how it is working. Okay, go to terminal, right? So where is my scenario this thing, right? And then how to go to the scenario based folder. Okay, this is scenario, what is that folder name we created? We created outside of that. Okay, no issues. K6 run scenario based. K6 run scenario at scenario based dot this. So when I run this, I could not load is update location. What is that? This is get location, save location, delete location, not delete location. And this is update location. What happens? Save and update location, delete location. Fine, right? What is the wrong in it? Update location. Fine, fine. Is the problem in this? Does not have specified executor. Okay. Executor. Sorry, just paying that. It's a bit wrong. The most, I think, executor. Executor. Is it correct? Executor. Constant this. Executor. Okay. This. Right. Run this. Let's see here. Oh my god. I came here because I'm running outside. Shows me as you go. What is that? Execute a constant scenario base. Ref value is not defined. Oh, that's okay. I think better you remove that. Otherwise, let me define as a constant. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So far it is seems good. Now try to run this. Yeah, still it is coming. Values is not defined. Where is that? Constant. Okay. Constant response, constant and constant. That is next. Constant. Right. Now let me try again this. Look at here. It is saying scenarios, 5 scenarios, 25 max users, and 10 minutes, 30 seconds max duration, including graceful stop. So it is running now. So delete location, date location, get locations, and save location, update location. These are the scenarios you have defined in the options, like a kind of users count and the time. And this is the dashboard has given here after running your scenario-based load testing. And here you can see a kind of running test. It is still running. So just stop it, right? You can see that running of so and so for virtual users 115 computer and 0 interrupted iterations, and delete location 5 users, get location, save location. So almost these are very fine. But coming to the save location, it has mentioned something like 25 iterations, right? 0.0, that means 6 seconds, 6.7 seconds. It happened for 5 users, right? And update location also happened. So what happened? let us, I think we'll run through in different window and see that how it is running. K6 and then here we'll run K6 run senior based chess. Now you can see that how it is running now. So it has finished my load test, right? So and I can see a couple of things are failed here, but not sure what is the problem. I think we must check that. And of course my scenario was successfully executed. It seems save location had some problems. Let's go back to your, this location. You can see that you have only two things are coming out. So if we can remove that, this this scenario and see how it is run through. So what I'm trying to do is, I'll remove that delete, right? Because I just wanted to see whether my save is happening or not. Okay, let me check that. Where is that save location? Payload, post. Good. Now when I run my this load test and see what happens. Save location. Let me go back to here and see that. It's not happening. Also put a maximum admitted. Oh, so it has that problem, right? So let me quickly go back here. We change this configuration because I mentioned that no, in the time of 5 seconds, I only accept 5 requests. That is the problem. Change that again. Go back to yeah, CMP running. Now fine. 3 requests and then here. Try to run again. Save is running. Let's check that. No, save is not happening. So what was wrong in that? I think is it required to keep in here? Location ID name, address and country and city and payload application dates and payload and then the location, right? Well, check that in another video. Look at that. We must give a JSON string define. What's that? Let me try this and see how it is. Okay, where is that? To do this. Okay. And it's done. Hello, and we see a simple patterns. Because this is normal string, JSON string, and the string find that into an object and possibly. Now let's see now. This is one thing you have to check. Yep, it is added. Yep, it is adding it. So many requests are adding. I'm so happy with that. So it seems it is running now. So you can see here the request, how many are processing, right? So many records are posted. Good. This is something it is working, and you can see all the inputs here. So this is how the scenario based stuff is working, and I think you can remove, uncomment this, and you can run other, scenarios as well. Delete and update. It seems same thing you need to give it for update where it is. Yes, yep. So that's it. And back here and try to run this again. And it start running now, and you can go and see here. So it is fully get loaded. Yeah. So now you can see all this stuff here, right? So this is something you need to run scenario-based load testing using K6 Grafana open source. Okay, that way you can see that how it is working your scenario. So thanks for listening this video, and please subscribe this channel for other series of videos with relevant to K6 load testing. Thank you.